Gosh, I don't think I ever started doing voices. I always sounded like this, and I was going to be a doctor. I finished UCLA and was ready to go to med school, and you think anyone would believe me? I'm going to take out your appendix. They'll be like, no, you're not. No, I'm a singer, and I have always sang and written songs and loved harmonies. So that was pretty much what I've done my whole life, and theater. And when I was in Nashville trying to be a country singer, the jobs I got were all singing like a kid. All my jingle jobs were a child singing. And somebody said, have you ever thought about voiceover? And I was like, what is that? I thought the cartoons talked for themselves, Michael, but I guess I was wrong. So I moved back to Los Angeles and got a voice agent, and my theater training and microphone training with singing all kind of came together, and acting in front of the microphone was just something that it came naturally, and I started booking cartoons, and that was over 30 years ago. I've just been doing it ever since. So I can't say I was like so many of my students now saying, I want to be a voice actor and I want to take your class and study with you. There wasn't a lot of people to study with. You know, it was in LA. We'd go where our agent sent us at the studio and audition and hope we booked it. And I did. I mean, it's been, 30 years worth of characters. I don't know if your camera can see that, but I've been doing it a long time, and I still get cast as children. Although I must say, now my agents, now that they know I'm not 25 anymore, they do send me grandma auditions. So I can do the grandma auditions just fine. And then I segue into the baby auditions, or even the crying ones. So we do it all. That's a big question. How has voiceover changed from 30 years ago to now? Well, for one, we have cell phones. Back then, our agent had us use a pager, which is like a beeper. And when he called you, you had to pull over to the side of the road and get to a phone and call your agent, and he'd say, go to this studio or an audition for this, or you have a job in this part of town. And we had to do jobs with like at least an hour or two between jobs, because we had to drive there. Well, I can have 5 minutes between jobs now because I'm in my home studio all the time, and I never recorded myself. The engineers did that. Well, now I am my own engineer, so I know how to work, Adobe Audition or Sound Studio or whatever I'm using to record. So the things that have changed are that we have to be our own engineers, and I used to audition, I don't know, maybe 5-6 auditions a week. Now it's more like 40 to 50 a week, because they can give them to you and say, get it back in the morning. There's a lot of changes, which is why I wrote the second version of my book, Voiceover 101, How to Succeed as a Voice Actor, which is available on Amazon, and hopefully you guys will put the link there. But I kind of put everything I know about voiceover down. But the differences between this new book and my first book, there's just so many changes all the time with technology. So that was in my Nashville days when I went to do country music, and I was just singing like a baby, and somebody saw me do To Kill a Mockingbird Scout at the Repertory Theater, and they said, oh, she can play a tomboy on stage. How about we let you play a boy clown on this TV series with this guy named Jim Varney, who does the Purity Milk commercials in Nashville. And I'm all about that. I said, okay. So they just cast me in the TV show as a boy clown. And then I got into the Screen Actors Guild that way. It was my first show. And it was great fun. My scenes were never directly with Jim, although he was always there on the set. Reading a book or talking about Shakespeare. I mean, the persona of Ernest was nothing like Jim Varney, who was, very well spoken and well read and just a lovely man. Yeah, but it was a great first show to be in, for sure. I also played an unknown character on that show called Debi and I was, my friend was a robot. Gosh, that show should still be on. That was a good show. Hey Vern, it's Ernest. Yeah. So that was Peter Pan and the Pirates was one of my first series, and I was the voice of Tinkerbell, Tinkerbell's first voice. And again, I didn't know who people were, so I didn't know who Tim Curry was as Captain Hook. We all showed up at Buzzy's recording studio in Hollywood. Jason Marsden as Peter Pan, Tony Jay, and Tim Curry as Captain Hook, and me as Tinkerbell. And the director was Michael Bell, who is another fabulous voice artist. And there were a lot of little lost boys. Interestingly, one of the boys, named Scotty Menville, I had met in Nashville. And his mama, Dottie, when I was doing extra work for Ernest Goes to Camp, I was the stand-in for Scotty Menville. He was 15, I was 25, but I've been the size of a 12-year-old boy my whole life, so his mom said, Debbie, you should get into voiceover. So it was so interesting that she gave me the names of people, and I contacted them in Los Angeles and moved back home, and my first big series was with Scotty Menville again as Peter Pan and the Pirates. It's crazy, small world. It was a great fun, that show. I remember once Tim, we were in the waiting room and he said, get us a coffee, there's a love. I got Tim Curry coffee. So working on the Addams Family, the 90s show, the animated series, with the original Gomez, John Astin, and Carol Channing, Rip Taylor, Jim Cummings, Rob Paulson. You know, it was back in the day when we all recorded together. So Hanna-Barbera was just down the street, and we'd all go into the studio together, and we'd all have our own microphones, and we'd have what's called table reads, where you sit around the table and read the script before you record. And the voice of Wednesday had to be very subdued. So if I do Wednesday's voice, I don't even know if you'll hear it, but she sounds like this. Gosh, Uncle Fester, the sun is shining and the sky is blue. Very low energy, which is really difficult for me anyway as a voice actor. I want to be big and up and loud. But Wednesday was very subdued and quiet and macabre. It was a great show, though. I played Howie, or Bobby's neighbor, Jackie, who had one of those very low, monotone voices. And it was also difficult. The director would be like, Debbie, less, much less. I call her my Valium kid. She was very, very low energy. And during the shooting of Bobby's World, I'm actually an advanced scuba diver. I've been diving forever. And I was filming a movie called Free Willy in Mexico City at the time as the body stunt double for the boy who rode the whale. I was the one that rode the whale in that movie, and we were recording Bobby's World at the same time, so I'd fly from Mexico City to Los Angeles to record Bobby's World and then fly back to Mexico City to do Free Willy. But what a fun show that was, Bobby's World, because Howie wanted everybody's mic to be live all the time, and he wanted all the banter, all the improv. And the directors were like, but no, the lines, follow the script. And Howie was like, no, let them go. So much of Bobby's World was just off the cuff, improv, and it was a nightmare for the engineers. But man, we had some fun, and the sessions took forever because, of course, you know, Pat Fraley and Rob Paulson, get them in the same room. Oh, the back and forth was just endless. So much fun. Gosh, what a fun show. Jimmy Neutron was one of those auditions that I saw myself up against all these fabulous voiceover women who had these gravelly sort of textured voices, which I don't have. And I had only done little girl auditions. So I was like, how am I gonna do a boy audition? So I did my best with no texture or gravel. Luckily, that's the one they picked. But I do a lot of auditions, and you never know what show is gonna hit. I mean, when we did Jimmy Neutron, it was just a little interstitial. I go like this, so you can know that it was a VHS tape that they gave it to us on. This is a VHS tape. And who knew that it was gonna go from these 10-minute interstitials to a feature, to a series, to like an iconic role that gets me here to Australia. And that's what Jimmy Neutron looks like for you guys. Got a blast! But I'm so grateful to have him in my repertoire. Wanted to mention that I have a new kids YouTube channel for any of you who have kids or just act like one. It's called Debi Derryberry Kids, and I'd love for everybody to subscribe and spend hours watching all my music videos because I sing kids music and write kids music. Also on Netflix today there's a new anime show I'm the lead voice in called Rising Impact. If you like golf, I'm the little kid golfer. Yeah, this is my voiceover book, Voiceover 101, How to Succeed as a Voice Actor. It's on Amazon. Make sure you get the second edition now that technology is changing ever so rapidly. So thanks, yeah.